taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a replay sent in by the Spiffy Creep. Yes, what a name. We are going to call this person Spiffy. So Spiffy is in the Konig today, and you can see we are on Straight as well. Straight is one of those crazy maps where the teams do spawn in two separate groups, so it does make for some interesting situations on that can develop on this map. Yeah, it can be for the good and it can be for the bad, depending. But essentially what we're going to take a look at is, how you can kind of, play the map, especially when your allies don't group up, right? And I'm a fan, I guess, of not grouping up on this map. I do enjoy having, or rather, playing, fighting for the cap zone that you spawn near, and then hoping, obviously, that you win that cap zone and your allies win the cap zone in the south or the north, depending where you would spawn, that then you guys can link up at B. Doesn't mean, though, that you shouldn't keep sort of, running away to the other side of the map in your back pocket if you need it, especially, if the enemy's coming at you hard and fast, and there's not a whole lot of things you can do about it. There's that as well, that this map sort of offers. You can run towards a group of allies in hopes that they will save you, potentially, right? We do see it on other maps as well. Hotspot is one, for example, right? You sort of do get that east-west spawn as well, and there's probably some others as well that I'm just not thinking about. Yeah, crazy replays, right? There's always some little bugs and glitches in the replays, but whatever. Anyway, we are moving towards the southern cap zone. We do see some enemies start to pop up. Now, the Konig at Tier 5 is a great battleship at Tier 5. I really did enjoy her, actually. Not too shabby at all. I mean, I think I do prefer the Congo overall at Tier 5 for the battleship, but the Konig would be my second choice. Again, I haven't played American battleships since closed beta, but every time I came up against like a New York or a Texas or a Wyoming at Tier 5 and at Tier 4 in the Konig, it was really no problem to take those ships down. And what the Konig does have going for her, more so than those American battleships, is that she does sit very low in the water, so there's very little to actually aim at in terms of the side of the ship, whereas the American battleships, it is almost like a wall of armor there that you get to aim at and shoot through, and most times do a whole lot of damage really quickly. So we do see enemies popping up, right? Got some Congos. We have Nuremberg over here. Tier 6 is the high tier here in the battle, and we don't have any Tier 6 battleships. It's just a few Tier 6 cruisers, so that's not too bad either. There is that the Nuremberg? One of the German cruisers. The nice thing about these German cruisers as well is if you can manage to land some shots into the broadside of one of those cruisers, you will rack up a lot of citadels and do a lot of damage very, very quickly. Of course, though, you do have to hit the ship. But whatever, right? My aim is no better, so I can't really talk. But still, we are maneuvering closer into the C zone, right? And this is important as well, because we do want to put pressure on the zone. Up there at the north, unfortunately for the northern team, it does look like some of those northern folks have split off and decided to go into B, which does put the northern guys at a disadvantage. What you would want to do in this situation, if you were the northern people, is you would, want to start heading south, because it's clear that any sort of attempt to make a push or a defensive A is not going to be supported by the majority of the team, so you really should get yourself into a position where you are at least participating in what the team is doing, even if it's not maybe what you agree upon. We do see a Texas popping up there as well. We still have the enemy destroyer on the port side as well. More Congos, right? 2 Congos in front of us and a cruiser, so there are a lot of enemy ships around as well, but again, the Konig is up to the task, that is for sure. She's pretty well armored. I don't know if she's the most well-armored battleship at Tier 5. Definitely the New York does have some good armor, and the Texas as well, but I think it's the deck armor on the American battleships that is so terrible. But anyway, not 100% sure. But the Konig, anyway, does have decent armor. Good enough armor that, yeah, this situation isn't so bad. And keep in mind that there are allies behind Spiffy here as well, right? This is not like a solo push off into the enemy lines here. Spiffy is just sort of acting as the spear, if you will, and then the allies are in the background continuing to pummel away at the enemies. We do have, again, still a destroyer to worry about, but the destroyer hasn't been too big of a deal for us as of yet. You know, we haven't had to deal with too many torpedo strikes, too many torpedo runs anyway, which is pretty great. We have the Texas in our sights now, and you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of, you know, you can tell right away just looking at the Texas there that she does sit higher in the water, or has more to shoot out of the water. And there we go. We did, what was that, 5,400 damage, somewhere in around there, with those 2 hits. So that is not too bad at all. And again, with 2 hits. As well, to get citadels on the American battleships isn't too hard to do at all in the Konig. You gotta kind of aim pretty easy, or you know, aim right, but it is possible, and it's you know, does a whole lot of damage to them when it does actually end up landing. The enemy Texas, though, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to be concerned with Spiffy whatsoever. I mean, again, yeah, there are allies that the enemy Texas does have to worry about, but you would think, you know, that the battleship that's on your port side really close would be a concern, but whatever. We do have the slow turret rotation speed on the Konig, though. That is, you know, one thing that you do have to get used to on the Konig, and that is why we weren't able to get all guns into the Texas. And the Texas captain, it does look like, came to his senses and has angled the ship against Spiffy here, so we're not going to be able to get as great of shots as maybe we would have a few moments ago. But whatever. The Texas is going down. Our allies are pummeling the Texas, you know, and we do still have the enemy Congos in the background with the enemy cruiser, but it's not becoming that big of a deal. In the meantime, we only do have a few ships left in the north, and surprisingly, actually, they're still going up there. In the center, we're still struggling to actually cap that B zone. You can see we've capped it now, and down here in the south, it still is basically an all-out fight, right? No one has really been able to secure C at all. We're still trying to figure out sort of positioning and what we're going to do. The enemies, though, down in the south do have the ship advantage, unfortunately. You can see Spiffy has, you know, obviously his Konig. We have a Congo here in front of us, and we have an allied ship behind us. Not 100% sure what that is right at this moment, but we only have 3 allied ships here right now. We just took down the Congo, which is fantastic, or sorry, the Texas, which is fantastic. Looking around, we do see 2 enemy cruisers. They would be pretty easy targets if we can get some shots into them. We do see the enemy Congo still in the background. But here again, you can really see the ineffectiveness of battleships staying in the background, right? The Congos back there, if they were to decide, or if they decided to charge this point right now, there wouldn't be a whole lot that Spiffy and his allies would be able to do to counter that. You know, it would be a lot for everyone to deal with. But instead, by staying in the back like they are right now, they're really not contributing a whole lot to the battle. They are firing in, and every now and then they land some nice shots and do a bit of damage. That's great. But you're not really putting a whole lot of pressure on the cap. We do see now, though, on the minimap, one of the enemy Congos is starting to make his way in, which is good. We have some shots coming out for the enemy cruiser. There we go. Enemy cruiser's gone. Now we're going to try and focus on this enemy Congo, right? Fortunately for us as well, the enemy Congos didn't make this push like a unified push. Instead, there seems to be, it seems to be that they're going to be attacking one at a time. So this will make it a whole lot easier to actually take these enemy ships down. Shots come in from the enemy Congo, but luckily, it didn't do too much damage, so that's not too bad. Enemy Congo isn't giving us exactly a broadside, but then we can see the Congo did just turn a little there, which is going to give us a nice angle here on some of these shots to start doing some pretty decent damage to the Congo, right? Trying to get the player down. On the minimap, we can see that we have finally secured the B zones. This is good. The enemy hasn't been able to take any caps, so even though up there at A we did lose some ships, those guys up there at A, they still fought a pretty decent battle, even though, especially at the beginning, I didn't think they would, because, half their force up there split down and came to B, so I didn't really have too much hope for those people. But they did definitely do some good up there, right? They stalled the enemy cap. The enemies are capping it now. At least the zone is contested because we do have a ship in there. So it's still being stalled, so that's not too bad at all. It did cost us a few ships, but it is working out. So yeah, all right. Enemy Congo is gone. Fantastic. We only have one more enemy Congo down here in the south, so hopefully we'll be able to deal with that guy pretty easily, if we even have to. You can see again, this Congo player is reluctant to get in close at all, right? Full health battleship in the background does nothing. It does nothing. You want it to be up there, right? You really do need the battleships in support. That heavy firepower is just so critical. We're moving up to the north now, because this is where the remainder of the enemy ships are, right? We really only have this one enemy battleship down here. There is a destroyer, enemy destroyer, but I don't think it's the enemy destroyer that we had down here. I believe that player is gone as well. And then once the enemy Congo is gone, we're not going to have to worry about any more enemies down here, basically. If we can just hold on to these 2 points, we'll be able to call it a victory. And you can see so far, you know, the points, I mean, we are in the lead right now, but it's not necessarily that big of a lead, right? If the enemies do start killing more of our ships, especially Spiffy here, Spiffy's on pretty low health, this could quickly become an issue for us, for the team. So we do have to watch out for this here as well. HE is being fired in on the enemy Congo, keeping the enemy Congo on fire, which is great. Just makes, you know, that much easier to actually put damage over time on the enemy Congo, so that when the other battleships are firing in, you know, it's not there's not so much pressure to get, you know, that big citadel to really take down the player. Fire once again on the Congos. This is great. We're going to reload our guns here. We do have a nice broadside on this player, so hopefully we'll be able to get a bit of damage racked up. You can see to the north that our ally who was up there at the north contesting that A point unfortunately is gone now, but the enemies weren't able to actually finish the cap at A. One of them screwed it up a little there and did actually get out of the cap. Now, it's probably not going to take them too long to actually get another ship in there and start capping it out, but again, it's buying more time for Swifty's team. Again, I mean, the enemies, right, they did kill a few more of Swifty's teammates here, and they did close that lead a little more, but with the falling of the Congo there, you know, chances are pretty good. We have an even amount of ships remaining. The enemies, though, do have that destroyer, so that's not so great, but Swifty's team has battleships, right? 3 battleships and 1 cruiser, versus 1 battleship, 2 cruisers, and 1 destroyer. So chances are still good that, you know, we're going to be able to pull victory out of this one. Just have to be careful of the destroyer. Now, the saving grace here too, the destroyer is an Ognivoy. Yes. So the Ognivoy, you know, we don't really have to worry too much about the torpedoes on the Ognivoy, as long as we don't get, you know, 4 kilometers or under close to it, we'll be fine. But we do have to worry about the Ognivoy staying in the background and firing, right? Continuously setting fire to us. If the Ognivoy decides to do this, there's not going to be a whole lot, especially Swifty being on such low health, not going to be a whole lot this, you know, they're going to be able to do to stop that. So, got to be careful about this Ognivoy. Moving into C, we're going to start capping it now, right? Which is always a great idea. The enemies did finally take A, so they finally have a point. We've had B for the majority of the battle, and we're finally taking C. There's no more enemy ships down here at C. The other enemies, right, they're in this channel. We can see a cruiser over here as well. Very low health. We just need a few shots into that cruiser, and that player will be gone. So that'll be great. And then, you know, we just have to worry about enemy battleship and destroyer. Enemy cruiser is gone, so great, we don't have to worry about this player anymore. The enemy battleship, I do believe we see, there he is there, so fantastic. Now we know where this player is. It's just a matter of figuring out where that last enemy cruiser is and where the destroyer is. So if we do notice, B is being capped, right? So we know that someone's in B. We see some smoke there in B as well, so obviously we know the enemy destroyer is right there in B. So we're going to get into B here and see what we can do about this enemy destroyer. There he is there, you know, change or turn our guns around and see if we can't get some shots off at the enemy Ognavoy. Enemy cruiser is popping up as well. There's the enemy cruiser. We can see him on the minimap, and there we go. It's an enemy Oba, I believe, is the last cruiser they have. We sent some shots into the smoke against the destroyer. Don't land any lucky shots there. And we see some allied shots going into the Oba, taking down the Oba. Perfect. Only 2 enemy ships remaining. We've got the enemy battleship and the enemy destroyer. We do need to be careful against this enemy battleship here. I think it's a Congo. Maybe it's another Congo. But, you know, yeah, it is a Congo. The Congo can land some pretty nice shots as long as, you know, you're lucky with your dispersion and whatnot. But it can land some nice shots, and it can rack up some pretty decent damage very quickly. So we do want to be careful about the Congo, but at the same time we know that we're sailing into a point that is being defended by a destroyer, so we also want to keep this destroyer in mind. So shots go into the Congo. We do manage to hit with a few shells and do a bit of damage there, so that's not so bad at all. Enemy destroyer pops up, and we are going to start needing to take some evasive action. So you can see Swifty is turning into the destroyer, which is great. I mean, it is going to give you the best opportunity of potentially avoiding the torpedoes, but keep in mind it is also incredibly risky. Because if you're, you know, this close to the enemy destroyer, if the enemy destroyer holds off on the torpedoes and launches them basically point blank, it's not going to give you very much time, if any at all, to be able to maneuver. Luckily, Swifty is able to avoid all of the enemy torpedoes, so we know that the enemy Ognavoy here is on reload. You can see the Ognavoy coming in. Almost looks like the player is coming in for a ram. Swifty turns in to attempt to get the ram as well. Shots come in from the enemy Congo and finish off the Ognavoy. Yes. We can see it there on the register as well, listed as a team kill. Fantastic. That wasn't too bad at all. Great way to end the battle as well. The points are almost, well, they're not quite at 100, at that 1,000 yet, but still, we only have the one enemy Congo left who's burning. Put a few more shots into this Congo and we should be able to take the player down without any trouble at all. You can see Swifty had high explosive loaded up for the Ognavoy, right? Was able to do the switch over. Now he's switching back over, loading up the armor piercing. And that's a good thing as well. I mean, I've caught myself, you know, switching to armor piercing and then switching back to high explosive, for example, and just wishing that I would have just cleared the barrel, taken the shots I had with the ammo I had at the time. And yeah, it's important to do it this way, I believe. It just gives you that better chances of more damage, I suppose. Get ourselves a nice Confederate medal there with a bit of more damage on the enemy Congo. We can see shots coming in from the enemy Congo, but basically we're bow on to the enemy Congo, and our bow and superstructure seems to be just absorbing these shots, which is fantastic. Keep in mind, right, there is oversaturation in the game as well, and we do see that the superstructure is more or less, you know, all blacked out, so any more damage to that won't actually register. So battle is over and victory is ours. We can see one of our friendly battleships manages to take down the last Congo. 145,000 credits earned, 95,000 damage dealt. We got Dreadnought and Confederate, which is not too bad at all. We did finish top of the team with 1648 base experience, which again is, you know, pretty decent. Not too shabby at all. We can see the Ognavoy in the enemy team finished first overall, which is pretty great. We can take a look at how the damage broke down in terms of the 95,000 damage that was dealt during the match. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Wish us luck this evening. NGA will be fighting our first match in Gold League tonight, so wish us luck on that. Hopefully we'll do well. So as always, folks, you know, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.